We have more ways to connect than any generation in human history. We can video chat with someone across the globe, maintain relationships with hundreds of people through social media, join communities based on the most niche interests imaginable, and we're more connected than ever. So why does real connection feel impossible? Why do so many people report feeling lonelier than previous generations despite being constantly plugged in? Why does it feel harder to make genuine friendships and find meaningful relationships or even have a real conversation with someone? This isn't just about dating or friendship apps failing us. It's about something deeper, and we've built a world optimized for connection but designed for isolation. We've created systems that simulate intimacy without delivering it, and we've mastered the appearance of social engagement while losing the substance of human connection. This is why real connection feels impossible in 2025, and what can we do about it before we lose it entirely? Let's start with the most obvious culprit. We have too many options. And I know that sounds like a privilege problem, but bear with me because this is psychology, not privilege. In psychology, we have something called the paradox of choice, and the more options we have, the less satisfied we are with any single choice. It's why Netflix's infinite catalog often leaves us watching nothing, while having 3 TV channels meant you'd settle on something and actually enjoy it. Apply this to relationships. This means that we're all constantly wondering if we could do better. Every person we meet gets compared to not just your ex or our ideal perfect partner who might just be one swipe away. No one ever feels like enough because enough doesn't exist in a world with infinite alternatives. And we all know that dating apps have turned relationships into a shopping experience. People become products to be evaluated, optimized, and discarded if they don't meet every criteria. But here's the thing about real connection. It's not about finding the perfect person. It's about choosing to see someone as perfect despite their imperfections. And we've developed relationship FOMO, and fear that committing to this person will mean missing out on someone better. Fear that going deep with these friends means missing out on other social opportunities. We keep our options open so thoroughly that we never actually choose anything. And this creates like an investment paradox where real connection requires vulnerability, time, and emotional investment. But why invest deeply in something when there are thousands of alternatives available at any moment? So we keep relationships shallow and connections surface level and wonder why nothing ever feels meaningful. It's like constantly switching Pokemon instead of training one to be strong. You end up with a bunch of weak connections instead of a few powerful ones. But unlike Pokemon, relationships don't level up unless you actually commit to them. And we've created a generation that's terrified of commitment, not because they don't want connection, but because committing to anything feels like losing infinite possibilities. So people stay perpetually available, perpetually searching, and perpetually unsatisfied. Another major problem with this is that there's a lot of people that have turned connection into a performance, and social media trained us to present curated versions of ourselves, and those habits have infected our real-world relationships. This creates an authenticity paradox where everyone wants authentic connections, but we've forgotten how to be authentic because we're so used to performing optimized versions of ourselves, and we're afraid that if people see the real us, the messy, uncertain, struggling us, they'll leave. And somewhere along the way, vulnerability became weakness instead of strength. Sharing real problems feels like oversharing, and admitting you don't have your life figured out can feel like a failure. So everyone pretends to be doing great while secretly feeling like they're falling behind. And maintaining these perfect personas is genuinely exhausting, and every post gets analyzed, every photo gets filtered, every interaction gets optimized for maximum positive response. We're spending so much energy managing our image that we don't have energy left for actual connection. It's like spending all your time customizing your character's appearance instead of actually playing the game. Your avatar looks perfect, but you're not experiencing anything real. Your online presence is flawless, but your actual relationships are suffering. And the algorithm's always going to reward performance over authenticity, training us to be less real over time. What's wild is that people actually connect more through shared struggles and shared successes. The friends you made during difficult times usually last longer than the friends you made during good times, yet we're all hiding our struggles and broadcasting our successes. And this creates a particular kind of loneliness where you can be surrounded by people who like your life but don't actually know you. You can have hundreds of friends on social media and 0 people you'd call in a crisis. You can look incredibly social from the outside while feeling completely isolated on the inside. We've also become obsessed with efficiency in ways that are not conclusive to real connection, and because everything has to be optimized, and that word gets used so much today, and streamlined and made more convenient. But connection is not efficient. It's time consuming and unpredictable and often inconvenient sometimes. And dating apps promise to make finding love more efficient, but they've actually made it less human. And you're supposed to determine compatibility from a few photos and a 200 character bio. It's like you're trying to choose your favorite game based on only the cover art. You might find something playable, but you're probably missing the masterpieces that don't have flashy packaging. The swipe mentality has infected all of our relationships, and you don't like how this conversation is going, just end it and start a new one. Is your friend being too needy? Fade out and find less complicated people. Relationship hitting a rough patch? There are plenty of fish in the sea. We've become addicted to instant gratification, but meaningful relationships are about delayed satisfaction, and building trust takes time. Developing inside jokes takes shared experiences. Creating deep bonds requires weathering difficulties together. None of that happens quickly or efficiently, and it never will. We trust relationships like Netflix content. If it doesn't hook us immediately, we switch to something else, and real connection is more like a slow burn TV series. It takes several episodes to really get good, but once you're invested, it's incredibly rewarding. We started trying to schedule intimacy like business meetings. Let's catch up over coffee next Tuesday. But real connection often happens in unplanned moments and during late night conversations, in the middle of mundane activities, and when guards are down and nobody's trying to make it happen. Productivity culture has infected our lives. We want relationships that add value and friends who help us grow, which is amazing. I heavily encourage that, and connections that serve a purpose. But sometimes the best connections are completely purposeless, and people you enjoy spending time with for no reason other than you enjoy their company, and a lot of other good things can come out of that. We've confused quality time with optimized time, and real quality time often involves a lot of wasted time and hanging out without an agenda, talking about nothing important, being bored together. But those unstructured moments are where real intimacy develops. And I'm not saying to have friendships that you just rot away with these people and don't get anything done, but I mean, everything I talk about on this channel is always about balance, and I think that real connections, you have to sacrifice some of these things to an extent, but you can have plenty of real friends that you grow and create stuff with, and I think that's the most beautiful thing, and I again heavily encourage that. So please don't take this as I'm trying to say to cut out any friends where you have, you know, agendas with and people that you're trying to accomplish stuff with. Like, as long as it's real connection behind it, that's really what matters, because that's what we're lacking in this world. And I talk about this stuff because I want to try to offer some type of solution rather than just rant about it. I feel like there's no point. I'm not adding any value if I'm not going to try to at least offer or suggest some solutions that might work for us. But anyways, you know, what's crazy is social media algorithms show us more of what we're already engaged with, and it creates echo chambers where everyone thinks and acts the same, and this makes us less tolerant of difference and less curious about other perspectives and less equipped to handle the diversity of thought that real relationships require, and honestly that you'll find in the real world. Algorithms are designed to keep us comfortable, but again, growth happens outside of comfort zones, and real connection requires engaging with people who challenge us and disagree with us or see the world differently. But the algorithm serves us more of the same and making our social worlds increasingly narrow, and the attention economy is fundamentally opposed to the connection economy, which it sounds crazy, but platforms make money by keeping you scrolling, clicking, engaging with their content, and they lose money when you log off to spend time with people in real life. So they're incentivized to keep you online and isolated and not offline and connected. And dating apps use the same psychological tricks as slot machines, and we all know this already. And social media promises to make us more social, but it often makes us less social, which is crazy because social is in the name. But we feel like we're maintaining relationships by liking other people's posts, but we're actually avoiding the deeper work of a real relationship maintenance, and that's calling, visiting, having meaningful conversations. Even when algorithms try to help with relationships, as suggesting friends, recommending matches, and showing us people you may know, they're reducing complex human compatibility to data points, and they can predict who you might find attractive or interesting, but they cannot predict who you'll deeply connect with. And one of the most underrated casualties of our hyper-connected world is the loss of productive awkwardness. We've become so good at avoiding uncomfortable social situations that we've forgotten how essential they are for building real connections and kind of just navigating the real world and going through stuff. Like, awkwardness is social friction, and that friction creates heat, and heat creates bonds, and the most meaningful relationships in your life probably involve some awkward moments early on. Misunderstandings that got cleared up, social mistakes that became inside jokes, uncomfortable conversations that led to breakthrough moments. Nowadays, you know, you got the Gen Z stare. I'm sure some of y'all might have heard of that, but it's a real thing, I promise you. Digital communication eliminates most awkwardness, and you can edit your thoughts before sending them, and you can take time to craft perfect responses and even use AI to optimize your messages, but in doing so we lose the beautiful messiness of real-time human interaction, and things can get awkward over text, but you can just block them or just move away from it. It's not hard, and there's something irreplaceable about vulnerability of live conversation. Not knowing what you're going to say next and dealing with misunderstandings in real time, navigating the natural rhythms of human speech. It's messy and imperfect, but that imperfection is what makes it human. And we learn social skills through social failure, by saying the wrong thing and seeing how people react, by misreading situations and adjusting our approach, by being awkward and learning how to recover. But if we avoid all awkward situations, we're just never going to develop these crucial skills, and that's going to be detrimental to your life. Every meaningful relationship requires expanding your comfort zone, and meeting someone new is awkward. Having deep conversations is awkward. Being vulnerable is awkward. Resolving conflicts can be awkward. If you're not willing to be awkward, you're not willing to connect. It's like staying in tutorial mode forever, because the real game is harder and more unpredictable. So now that we covered all this, how do we fix this? How do we rebuild genuine connection in a world designed to prevent it? And it starts with small, intentional changes to how we approach our relationships. First is just embrace inefficiency. Plan activities with no purpose other than enjoying each other's company. Take the long way to places so you have more time to talk. Choose phone calls over text messages, and even when texting would be faster. I'm sure we've all done this before. Practice small vulnerabilities. Share something that you're struggling with instead of something you're proud of, and ask for help instead of pretending you have everything figured out. Be the first person to admit that you don't know something. Create unstructured social time. Invite people over without planning specific activities. Take walks without destinations. Have conversations without agendas. Some of the best connections happen in the spaces between planned interactions. Set boundaries with digital communication. Put phones away during meals. Choose one-on-one conversations over group chats. Use technology to facilitate in-person meetings rather than replace them. Choose consistency over intensity in relationships. Regular low-key contact often builds stronger bonds than occasional grand gestures. The friend who texts you random thoughts throughout the week might be more vulnerable than the friend who only reaches out for major life events. Learn to sit with social discomfort. Instead of immediately reaching for your phone or making excuses to leave, most awkward moments pass quickly if you don't flee from them. And many lead to a deeper connection, or you can just find out the person's not for you, whether you're trying to date or someone that you're thinking about cutting off. You got your answer. And I think this is a extreme problem, but I don't think it requires an extreme, solution like suggesting we go back to pre-digital world. Technology has given us incredible tools for maintaining long distance relationships and finding communities of people who share our interests and staying connected with people we care about. But we need to find balance between digital connection and human connection, between efficiency and authenticity, between optimized interactions and messy real relationships. Real connection is always going to require time, vulnerability, and the willingness to be awkward sometimes. It requires choosing depth and quality over quantity, and sometimes people over productivity. The choice we all face is very simple. Do we want to be connected, or do we want to be connecting? Connection is a state. You either have it or you don't, and connecting is a process, and it's ongoing, imperfect, and requires continuous effort. So here's my challenge for y'all. This week, have one real conversation with someone, not about work, weather, or what you watched on Netflix, about something that matters to you, something you're struggling with, something you're curious about. Be awkward if you have to be vulnerable if you can. Because at the end of the day, we all crave the same thing, and that's to be seen, understood, and accepted for who we really are, and we deserve that. It's not impossible in 2025, it just requires remembering that the best connections are not optimized, curated, or efficient. They're real. Thank you for watching. Remember, real connection starts with being real yourself.